So the next situation being you go back to assistant coaching in the pros, and your number gets called again in 97, I think? 97 with the Patriots.
I'm no good at those years.
They go by quickly. So from 1997 to 1999, you're the head coach of the Patriots. In 2 of your 3 years, you take the team to the playoffs. You're 47, you're 48 years old, and after the 3rd season, you're fired again. Fired again. Pete Carroll, fired again. Can you...
Who's more in disbelief, you or me? I don't know.
I am now. But so you've been twice fired as a coach in the NFL, this time with some criticism about your laid-back coaching style. Did you ever lose confidence and think that maybe your best days had passed you?
Well, between going from the Jets to New England, I went to San Francisco for 2 years and had 2 extraordinary years in that I had always been a big follower of their program and their style, and had studied Bill Walsh's years throughout growing up in the Bay Area and all of that. Was good friends with George Seifert, who was the head coach at the time, who succeeded Bill Walsh, and got a chance to go there with which I thought was like the golden opportunity of my career, to be right back into the philosophy that I thought was the one that might be separate from all of the rest, which pretty much Bill had pretty much proven that with all of the coaches that had followed him. And as a stroke of luck would have it, George Seifert was the head coach the first year, and in the second year they rehired Bill Walsh and brought him back as a consultant. And he had spent so many enormous years there. Everybody in the program was scared to death of him. But I didn't have that kind of background with him, so I just was like a puppy dog with the guy and followed him around everywhere and talked to him all the time. He was great because nobody else was talking to him. And he took great care of me, and I had the opportunity to dig at that philosophy and the background and where it started and why and what for and all of that. And I felt like that was just an extraordinary opportunity for me to get my act together, for the next opportunity. So when the New England thing comes up, if you remember, they had just gone to the Super Bowl, and Bill Parcells, they lose the game, and Parcells doesn't fly back on the plane with the team, and there's all this. He knew he was quitting, and the owner there, had just gone through, trying to deal with Attila the Hun, and then here comes Pete from California, and he thought this was the greatest thing ever. He's bringing in the 49er way and the philosophy and all of that. We get to like the first opportunity to make a decision after getting the job. It was about how we were going to run minicamp. And I had told them the Niner way was first class, top drawer, everything was just as good as you could possibly make it to treat your players and take care of them and all that. And I'm telling them what I put down the things that we were going to have for the meals for the first meeting of the first minicamp, where you set your first impression. And it got to him somehow what I had, we got prime rib, we got lobster, we're going to town, Pete's going to make a big impression. And he wanted to come back and have frickin' salami sandwiches and stuff like that, and so I realized right then that I was in deep trouble, because philosophically, he had already stepped in, and he had already made a statement where he had said he wanted to be the San Francisco way, and Eddie DeBartolo and Walsh and all that stuff. He had no way of handling that. And so from the beginning, philosophically, the premise that I had come in with to run this whole program, which is very, very much exactly what I just told you before, how we would do our program, was just kiboshed from the start. But that didn't mean, being the eternal optimist, that didn't mean we didn't have a chance to do well and all of that, but I knew that things were going to be different than I had planned and I had hoped right from the beginning. And so we battled our way through it. We won the division the first year. We had a good year. We lost in the playoffs, won a game in the playoffs, beat Miami for the 3rd time that year, and then the second year we stumbled back into the playoffs at the end of the season. But at the last game of the regular season, we had played against Parcells in New York. We were already into the playoffs. A game that doesn't amount to much, for your season, and they killed us. And from that point on, I never felt right again. I knew I was in deep trouble. New stadium was coming in, a huge deal going on in the state of Massachusetts and in the New England area. All of that led to he made a change after we went 8-8 that 3rd year, and he made a change that I could feel coming. When it happened, first off, you would probably think traditionally typically that the New York media would be the most difficult. It is not. It isn't. Philadelphia is the worst, okay, but New England's second, and it's a vicious area to deal in sports when you don't win. It's the greatest of all places when you do, but I had the kind of the downside of that. We're in the middle after being 3 years early being in the Super Bowl, so I get fired, but I knew that the owner again he didn't have his act together. He had screwed it up from the start, and he got in the way, and he meddled and did things that that didn't allow the philosophy to come through. And I had to represent the owner and the general manager and the controller and in a way that just didn't allow it to flow the way it should have to really be representative of what I thought I could get done. So as I'm checking out press row and I'm leaving and I'm fired and all that, I'm shaking hands with those guys, and I don't feel like I'm defeated. I was pissed, and I was pissed that I didn't get the chance to do it the way I wanted to do it, and I had to face this, of getting fired again. But it didn't dampen my spirit at all. I mean, I was more resolved than ever that we were that close. 27 and 21 was okay in the NFL. It's hard to get to that point. And so I was very strong coming out again, and we went to Disney World again. So that's kind of how we do it. We bought a new car, Disney World, and on we go.